Hey everyone, this is what math is going to look like for a little while. For our first week, I thought perhaps it would be nice to go over again adding and subtracting polynomials. It has been some time since we've all done this together, so I thought a review of this would be a good way to begin things. So we will get into it, and of course my pencil broke. Okay, well, it's like the 9th time that broke. So, okay. Example. The most crucial element of adding polynomials is going to be the fact that there will be two or more polynomials. So this would be considered to be a two-term polynomial. I'm going to add it to some other type of polynomial, such as 3x plus 4. What's important to note is that you can only ever combine things if they are exactly the same. So this polynomial has an x squared term and just an x term, whereas this polynomial has a x term and a constant term. And so the only things that can be added together amongst these two polynomials are the two x terms. These are the only things that can add together. When I do that, I simplify our polynomial to be 3x squared plus 5x plus 4. Remember back to our algebra tiles, where we had 3x. This is what 3x would look like. We're going to add it to 2x. Altogether, there are 5 of them. So that's how that works. We'll do some more examples for addition, and then move into subtraction. We'll start with 5x cubed plus 25x squared minus 5 plus 3x cubed minus 15x squared plus 4x plus 2. Now I need to add these things together. So here I have a 5x cubed, and I have an x cubed term here. Altogether, 5 and 3 makes 8x cubed. And I just rinse repeat that process for anything that is exactly the same variable terms. So I have an x squared that's 25x squared plus negative 15x squared. So there's some cancellation that occurs there. I get plus 10x squared. Positive 25 and negative 15. Those combine to be positive 10. That's how many x squared terms that I have after the addition. Then I have a plus 4x, because that's what I have here. I'm adding it. There was nothing over here to begin with. And then negative 5 plus positive 2 is negative 3. We'll do one more for addition. Three x squared y cubed. So this is a little bit different from what we've seen before, but it acts the exact same way. We'll say plus 4x times y minus 3x cubed. So that's going to be our first polynomial. We're going to add that to 4y cubed. Subtract 16x times y. So here, what's a little bit different is you have all these, you have x variables and you have y variables. And you have some that have both, others that have both at different powers, and then you have some that don't have both. And so the way that you have to remember when you add together or combine anything is that it has to be exactly the same for variables. So is there another x squared y cubed term anywhere? That's xy, but it's not x squared y cubed. That's x cubed. That's not either of those things. There's a y cubed here, but I cannot add this to that. It does not have the extra multiplication by x squared. So these do not add together. The only thing that is exactly the same in variables is the 4xy and the negative 16xy. So everything else stays the same. So I can rewrite this 4y cubed, put that one first, minus 3x cubed. There's that. Then I'll say plus 3x squared y cubed. And kind of as you go, you can just cross things off. I've dealt with all of this. The only thing left is these two. A positive 4 and a negative 12 makes a a positive 4 and a negative 16, answered my own question, makes a negative 12x times y. And this is my end result. All of this is addition. Now we'll get into subtraction. Subtraction works exactly the same way. We have to keep in mind one very, very important thing. So let's take, for example, the following example for subtraction. 4x cubed minus 3x squared plus 16. And then I'm going to subtract 2x squared minus 4. Notice how you are subtracting both these terms. I'm subtracting the whole thing of 2x squared minus 4. And that means logically I'm going to subtract the 2x squared followed by subtracting the negative 4. Keeping that in mind as we go will prevent us from making some very common mistakes. So let's just account for things though. There's no other x cubed terms anywhere else, so that'll stay the same. Then I have negative 3x squared, and that I can subtract from that 2x squared. So then we think negative 3 subtract 2. Well, that's negative 5, and it's an x squared term. So that's the subtraction of this. I often put the arrows to make sure that I realize I'm subtracting. So then the last piece, I've dealt with all of these. 16 subtract negative 4. Arrows help me realize I'm subtracting both terms. So subtracting a negative is like saying 16 plus 4, which is 20. Positive 20. Now, That's the main, very, very important difference that we sometimes have to be cognizant of for subtraction. We'll do one or two more examples, probably two. So let's do 6x cubed plus 3x squared plus 4 minus x to the power of 5, subtract 16x to the power of 4, 3x to the power of 2, and then subtract 6x cubed. So we have a lot here, but we can go through the first polynomial and say, okay, here's an x to the power of 5 term. The reason I picked that one out is because there's no x to the power of 5 term in this second polynomial. So that will remain exactly the same. Negative x to the power of 5. We can do the same thing with the 4. There is no constant term here. So I can say, it doesn't matter the order, I can say plus 4, or I can say there's a positive 4 here, I say 4 subtract x to the power of 5. Same thing. Gets rid of the 4. Okay. 6x cubed subtract negative 6x cubed. So sometimes it's nice just on the side. 6 subtract negative 6. That way I know I'm adding. 6 plus 6 is 12. So I have plus 12x cubed. Then I have 3x squared subtract 3x squared. Okay. That's going to be 0. That's just, these two things cancel. 3x squared minus 3x squared. You're taking the whole thing away from itself. That's a big goose egg. That's a big 0. Then finally I have a subtract 16x to the power of 4. I'm still subtracting that, so it will be a negative 16x to the power of 4. That's my final answer there. Okay. A little bit of time left. We shall do one question more. And like I said, when you add and subtract polynomials, you're going to be adding and subtracting 2 polynomials, or perhaps even 3 things. And just trying to simplify it all out. So there's our polynomial. Okay, so the way we want to do this is just start with what you can start with. Let's start with the x squared term. It's first. And there are actually 3 separate terms here. Each polynomial has an x squared term. So I have 4, subtract negative 6, and then I'm going to subtract 9. So sometimes, just for accounting, 4 subtract negative 6. Let's just do things one at a time. Let's just figure out what this equals, and then we'll take that away from it. So the first 2 things subtracted from each other. 4 subtract negative 6 is 10x squared. Then I have 7x cubed y cubed subtract negative 7x cubed y cubed. That's going to be positive 14 x cubed y cubed. So that's those two taken care of, and those two. And then I have a subtract negative 4x. So that's positive 4x. That gets rid of that. So now I figured out what the first two things equaled. So now I'll subtract 10x plus 9x squared from this. So 10x squared subtract 9x squared is just, there's only one of them left. This 14x cubed, y cubed stays the same. And then I have positive 4x subtract 10x should be minus 6x. And this big complicated thing up here just simplified to 3 terms. Okay, that's everything for today. Good luck with your practice, and if you have questions, feel free to ask.